Greetings, y'all. Greetings. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I am your hostess and your melanated queen, everyone. All right, so before I begin, I just want to say that today's Sunday, September 28th, 2025. Okay, and let me come on camera when I say this. It's been 1 year ago since my grandmother departed us from this earthly realm. She transitioned overnight, and this marks the 1 year anniversary for her. I want to give a special acknowledgement to her. Just to give you some insight, my granny was born in the 30s, 1939 to be exact. She transitioned at the age of 85 years old, and she was a mother of two. Um, my grandfather, that she had her children with, was a veteran. He went to the Vietnam War and went on to drive the city bus. Um, they had gone apart, but they came back together. So basically, she went on to marry someone else. But then later on in life, they got back together. And then my grandfather departed, you all. So I just want to give a special acknowledgement to the ancestors out there that have preceded us, because right now we're living in very dark times, very scary, treacherous times. One thing I can tell you is that I learned a lot by studying her. She was a person that spoke her mind. She was very into grammar, very into proper sentence structure. What's good, knowledge seeker? If you don't know about how to properly formulate a sentence, she would correct you right there on the spot, did not care. And she was a big advocate of that. And I think that's where some of mine comes from, because I try to be cognizant of how I speak, even though I sometimes I'll go back and listen to myself. I misspeak sometimes. You said the title got you. Yes, we're going to talk about Trump sending troops to Portland, Oregon. Because I think you said you spent some time in Oregon, if I remember. But yeah, so before I begin, I'm just saying that today marks the 1 year anniversary of my grandmother's transition. Right now, my mother's really going through it. She's still hurting, y'all. Like, it's really hard for her. That's why when I come on and I talk about, the Charlie Kirk stuff, what's good, Lonesome Dove? I made it. I missed last night's stream. That's why when I talk about that, it just kind of like doesn't sit well with me that someone could just be laughing and joking, in front of a crowd of people like that. Because being around people that have experienced a serious loss like that, that's close to them, it's hard for them to move on, and it's hard for them to function, y'all. Um, my granny was very independent. Even at the age of 85, she was living by herself. She was of sound mind and judgment, living on her own. She could feed herself, clothe herself. She could do everything pretty much for herself, but she had gotten slow. She was shorter than me, y'all. So my granny probably was like 4 foot something, but she was really sweet. She embraced everyone, anybody that we brought around, like the family. She embraced everybody with a hug, made them feel welcome. Um, Her sign, let me see, she was a February, let me see, that's Aquarius, very blunt and outspoken. So sometimes her and my mother would clash, because my mother's kind of sensitive, even though my mother's an Aries. All right, that's the sign of war, fire sign. Air sign is Aquarius. So they're very blunt and to the point, y'all. But out of all of it, I could say she was definitely a sweet lady, as long as I can remember. And she had her ways about her. She didn't care. She was going to get her point out, say what she meant, and she stood firm on that for being under 5 feet tall. And my uncle is about 5'10". It looks like he could be a football player, y'all. And sometimes they would go at it. They would go at it, and she stood firm for what she believed in. She liked tall men. From what I saw, her my grandfather, he had to be at least 6 feet tall, y'all. I don't know why I'm so short, but even the guy that she married, he used to have to duck down to come into the house. But I just want to say, I learned a lot from my granny. Financially, she was always stable. When she passed away, even in her account, she had money saved up, money to take care of anything that she needed taken care of. And she told, my cousin before she departed, she said, "I want to be put away real nicely." And that's exactly what my mother did. Her favorite color was purple, y'all. And so I just want to honor her right now. So thank you so much for listening. All right. So now, yes, grandmother transitioned last year till this day. Uh, what ended up happening? She passed away at nighttime. My mother got the phone call. She didn't call me until the next day. It was like 8 a.m. I was leaving out of the neighborhood, and she was like, "I got some bad news for you." So usually when she tells me that, I know it's bad, y'all. Pretty much that means something happened to somebody. So I'm thinking, like, who is it? Nowhere in my wildest dreams mind did I think she was going to say it was my granny, y'all. And I just had to pull over in shock. And yeah, I had to drive back, and everything, to go to her wake. And it was very unbelievable. Even to this day, it's kind of like I can't believe it. And I know that, yeah, grandparents pass away all the time, but like my granny's always been there, y'all. I feel like she was in, good enough shape that she could have had a few more years with us. That's how I feel like. My whole point is that our lives are short. My point is that our lives are very short. Even you might think 85 is old, y'all, but I'm telling you, when these years start rolling by, this time goes so fast. And it was so many memories I have of being on her land, because her and her sister lived side by side. They owned an acre of land together. She lived on one side, her sister lived on the other, but her sister preceded her in death. My grandfather preceded her in death. So she witnessed some very close deaths, but she stood strong. She lived on that land pretty much by herself. Um, and she tended to that entire yard, y'all. She would go out there, cut the grass. She had a beautiful flower garden. And when I look at my yard, and I think y'all have seen some of my video footage, I'm like, how in the world does she do it? And it's like everything she touched, she just magically could make flowers bloom and blossom, and they would just come back every year. And it seemed like whenever I tried to do it, me and my sister and I was like, we're killing the stuff. Like, it's not coming back. We don't have the green thumb. So my mother told me, she was like, "You can do it." That's what she told me. She said, "You can do it." One day she stayed on the FaceTime with me. I was so excited. I had got my house and I wanted to plant some flowers in the front yard. So she stayed on FaceTime. I propped the phone up and she told me exactly how to plant my flowers. She said, "Keep digging, keep digging, keep digging." She said, "That's good. Now put some potting soil right there." She said, "Now keep digging." And she told me, "Spread the roots out." And I did exactly as she told me to do. And my flowers have been coming back in bloom every single year, y'all. So it is possible. It is possible if y'all are struggling out there. You said you're actually going back. You're helping your sister with the real estate business. Wonderful knowledge seeker. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I know that, I always talk to her. I know she's still here with us in spirit. So when I say venerate your ancestors, I mean that, y'all, because what would it mean is if, like, you transition from this physical body and you have relatives around, but they don't acknowledge you, she's still here with us. I need to do a little bit more to venerate her, but I hold her in my heart, y'all. I wrote a poem for her, and the words that I said, it touched me deeply. And maybe one day I will share that with y'all. But y'all, she had beautiful, beautiful memories. She was full of laughter. Her laugh was contagious. It would make you laugh. She would laugh so hard at people that it would make you mad, but it would make you laugh because of how much she would laugh at you. Like, I remember one day my cousin fell out of the chair and she got the biggest laugh, y'all. She loved to laugh. She loved flowers. She loved playing bingo. She was definitely into her yard, I can tell you that. And they had to take her keys away a few years ago because she was still driving, which made me nervous. And I was very nervous because I felt like she needed cameras around the premises of her home, but she never had Wi-Fi. She never had the internet, never had cameras. She told my mother on the phone, God got me. That's exactly what she said. God got me. And my mama said, she said it just like she knew it, like she meant it. And so my granny was definitely not, she was brave. She was not scared to live alone out there in the country by herself. She wasn't scared, y'all. I don't know. I think a lot of people would have been nervous living out there like that. But yeah, so let's get into Portland, you all. I say that to transition over. If you're in Portland, get armed. Federal troops shouldn't have free reign without massive resistance and being armed. Step one. Somebody said, thanks, Trump. All right, let me read this article to you, and I'm going to share my screen, okay? All right, so Trump has ordered deployment of troops to Portland, Oregon. Donald Trump has ordered the deployment of troops to Portland, Oregon, authorizing use of full force if needed to suppress protests, you all, targeting immigration detention centers. Everybody. They are targeting immigration detention centers. So if anybody suppresses the protests, if needed they want to suppress the protests. So they don't want you protesting around the immigration detention center. So if they come and try to round up people, they don't want you protesting. They will have the troops involved in full force. Y'all, that is scary. What do you think full force is? You're using troops at this point. And they're considering this, what do you call it? Domestic terrorism, you all. Domestic, meaning they're using the troops on the citizens of the country, right? Or the people that live here. The US president claimed the move would help protect any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa, y'all, and other domestic terrorists, characterizing the city as war ravaged in a Truth Social post. War ravaged is what he's saying. Now, I don't know if you recall, but just a few days ago, last week, Dallas actually had this guy that was arrested for basically shooting up detainees at an ICE center. Okay. This took place in Dallas. He was on the rooftop, y'all. The announcement marks a further expansion of troops deployments in U.S. cities amid a wider crackdown by the Trump administration on illegal immigration. This is not a game, y'all. If you remember the other day, I told you I was talking and speaking with a lady from Argentina in South, so that's in South America. She was telling me that not too long ago, they had the ICE had actually entered one of the grocery stores at the Lidl's, and that's not too far from where we live. Like, she's right up the road from it. I'm not too far from it. And I said, really? I had heard about ICE in the news, but when it really starts hitting like your perimeter, it starts to get very serious and very real. I was also speaking to someone on the phone the other day, and they said they saw like these big tractor trailers, and they were being escorted down the highway by some type of it looked like some type of Secret Service agent vehicles or something to that effect. So they're definitely getting ready for something. I also heard that allegedly there are warships surrounding South America, and that Putin is declaring war, you all. And I hope this is not true, because we have too many things going on right now in America to be going to war. Like, we really need to fix this country. The latest move has drawn pushback from Democratic lawmakers who said there was no need for federal troops to be deployed to Portland, y'all. So right here, you can see ICE agents standing guard outside of a detention center facility during a protest in Portland, Oregon on the 1st of September, y'all. Very interesting. Kotek told news conference on Saturday that any deployment would be an abuse of power, and said she was working with Oregon's Attorney General Dan Rayfield to see if any response is necessary. We will be prepared to respond if we have to, she asked. Trump promised retribution. How far will we go? Trump's post does not specify whether he intends to activate National Guard or regular U.S. military, nor what is meant by the use of force. full use of force. We stand ready to mobilize U.S. military personnel in support of Department of Homeland Security operations in Portland at the president's direction, Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell told BBC. The department will provide information and updates as they become available. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the ICE facility in Portland, has been targeted by protesters since early June, sometimes leading to violent clashes. As of the 8th of September, the U.S. Attorney's Office had brought federal charges against 26 people for crimes including arson, assaulting a police officer, and resisting arrest. The DHS said on Friday that demonstrators had repeatedly attacked and laid siege to an ICE processing center in Portland. The department stated that several individuals had been arrested and charged with federal offenses in a post on social media. Rose City Antifa, a recently designated domestic terrorist organization, illegally doxed the ICE officers, it wrote. They published their home address online and on public flyers. Individuals associated with Antifa also sent death threats to DHS personnel. Okay. Earlier this week, Trump signed an order formally designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, y'all. Antifa, which is short for anti-fascist, is a loosely organized movement of primarily far-left activists. This is getting very, very serious, y'all. Very serious. Hold on one second. Let me see what y'all are saying in the comment section. All right. Somebody said military against citizens. Pretty much. Trump, Trump, Trump. It's all Trump. Why my city is a S-hole. DJ Trump is something to Papa. When people are attacking law enforcement, burning buildings, breaking windows, destroying property, Trump has an obligation to stop lawlessness and destruction. No one has right to commit crimes. It means don't break the law. Then you realize these retards, passed thousands of gun laws, LOL. Imagine aligning with commies over America. You can protest, you can't threaten people or destroy property. Communism infiltrated in every political and social media levels and weak-minded people. It is. Tell me you don't know Portland. Okay. Trump is the biggest crackpot in the world. So glad Trump is getting a hold of these moronic lefties. They are not protests. They are riots. Peaceful protests are awesome. Riots need to be stopped. The left loves riots, crime, and lawlessness. It's a spiritual war between good and against evil. Military around Venezuela. Don't be illegal is 100% an option. Mill around us. To all these Dems out there, don't you forget DJ Trump is something, okay? It's long overdue, says Trisha. Ice Cube had his tour bus wrecked by rioters. Next, they'll be attacking your local ice cream man. Wow. It's about time they aren't that small. Thank you. Love our president. Trump is a liar. Stay calm. We're handling it. Same as California, y'all. It's a lot of mixed emotions out here. So it seems like a lot of people do agree with this. Some people don't agree with it. The country is definitely split, which goes into my other segment that I do want to talk about, y'all. And that is with the political climate that's going on. I really, really wish our nation could come together as a whole. I really do. Blessings to you, Jet It Out. I really wish our nation could come together as a whole. Like even in terms of disagreement, I just wish that there was not so much hostility towards one or the other side. And what I'm noticing too is even in churches, the Bible, Christianity, whoever you believe in, they're being targeted and used for political warfare as well. And I don't agree with that at all whatsoever. I think a lot of times the church misleads people, especially the pastors, the ministers, whoever, the bishops that are up there preaching. Either they fall to one side or the other. Usually they're right or they're left. They're, Republican or Democrat. And the Bible, in my personal opinion, does not want people to be divided like this in a country. Democrat versus Republican, right versus left, right? But we know there's always going to be warfare among us. Y'all, this is also spiritual warfare. So just be careful out there. because I don't think he's just going to be doing this in Oregon. But to my understanding, LA was another city that they targeted for sending troops out there. And they said, I urge Oregon, Oregonians not to fall into Trump's attempt to incite violence, Wyden said. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden said on Friday that there were credible reports that federal agents may be replaying the 2020 playbook, a reference to federal forces being deployed in response to protests over the murder of George Floyd, a black man who died in police custody. Y'all, I said it that way because I feel like George Floyd is being used in this political battle and this political warfare. And quite frankly, I think it's played out. When it first was introduced, I saw the antics that surrounded this whole entire scenario. And that's why I did not give it a lot of my energy and attention. I observed what I saw on the news and I talked about it on the channel. But as far as going out there protesting, we had protests here in the city. I wasn't even aware that they were out there protesting. Local lawmakers have also accused ICE of going after people who are not in actual danger to society. ICE has said they're targeting people for arrest and detainment who have committed crimes. That's what they told us. But that's not what we are seeing, said Democratic House Representative Suzanne Bonamici. Lawmakers cited recent incidents, including the detention of a father outside his child's preschool and a wildland firefighter who was arrested while battling fires in the Olympic National Forest, y'all. So I did hear in the news here locally, the ICE, they showed up to one of the schools when the parent was dropping their schools off. You know how they line up the cars and the children get out of the cars at the curbside? The ICE actually had, showed up out there at the school, y'all. They also pointed, but then we received, because I work with children, but we also received communication by way of email over the summer and at the end of last school year that basically they didn't have any communication that ICE was going to be coming into the schools, but that they would handle these situations accordingly. But they said that they had no information that ICE was actually going to be coming into the schools because they know a lot of these parents were very scared about it. And let me tell y'all, I, for one, I have witnessed showing up to the school, coming into the office, and these immigrants have been enrolling their children into school, no question asked. That's the policy of the schools here in this district. There are no questions asked. They are able to come over here and enroll their children into school with no questions asked. That has been the rule. That's the email they sent out across the district, y'all. And this was as early of late last school year and going into this school year. That's what's been going on. So there were a lot of people enrolling their children like as late as January and February. The school year usually ends in like May or June, but people were coming, still enrolling their children into the schools. So there's definitely a heavy presence of a lot of the immigrants coming here, and they are here. They also pointed to a statistic published by the Cato Institute, a U.S. think tank based in Washington, D.C., which reported that 60% of people detained by ICE had no criminal convictions. Okay. Despite the backlash from Democrats, the move has drawn support from some Republican officials. Now, I think that's a little bit different than New York, because according to what I've been hearing and seeing, and I haven't been to New York recently, but the times that I've been, I've thoroughly enjoyed New York and the diversified culture there. But they said that Times Square and just being in New York is nothing like it used to be, because they're saying of all of the criminal activity that's taken place since these, immigrants have arrived. They said they were attacking police. They said they were attacking the citizens. They are robbing people, stealing cell phones, committing violent acts. They've also assaulted females, you all. So, this is a lot. And I think if Biden, in my personal opinion, had put had taken more security measures along the border and had more border control, more troops, I think that we would not be in this situation today, right? So U.S. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer said she had been She had seen how lawlessness had turned Portland into a crime-ridden war zone. Chavez DeRimmer, who previously served as a Republican House representative for Oregon, thanked Trump for taking action to keep our ICE facilities protected and make America great again, you all. Earlier this year, Trump deployed the National Guard to Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. Federal agents are expected to, they are expected to arrive in Memphis, North Memphis, where the killers at. Memphis, where they work at. Shout out to Project Pat and 3-6 Mafia, y'all. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But y'all, I've been to Memphis before. But I drove through there. I didn't spend time there, okay? Because I heard Memphis is rough, y'all. That's nothing to play with. So they're expected to arrive in Memphis, Tennessee next week. In Los Angeles, the president ordered 2,000 federal personnel to deal with unrest over raids on undocumented migrants. Clashes erupted over several days, and tear gas was used to disperse protesting crowds. Y'all, how many times do I have to tell y'all this? If you're going to go protest, have some gas masks, have on bulletproof vests. Wear your tactical gear. You're going out there with just your, the vulnerability of your body. A federal judge in California ruled earlier this month that the National Guard deployment in Los Angeles was illegal and that it violated am I saying this properly? Posse Comitatus Act, which limits the power of federal government to use military force for domestic matters. It is unclear whether the president has legal ground to deploy federal forces to Oregon. Very interesting, y'all. Let me see what y'all are talking about in the comment section. Yes, Tinkerpoo. Just a second. So Ernest is in support of Trump. Ernest Guerrera Jr. is in support of Trump. Sorry, but it wasn't created that way. The old way has to die for the new. We, the people, voted for this. Also, the hostility and violence comes from one side and one side only. You said beautiful. Thank you. You had it right, LOL. The Bible class for you to follow the laws of the land. Okay. Read your Bible with discernment. Yes, indeed. Protesting a druggy crackhead, multi-criminal, and made him a saint only in America. That father ran from the school and abandoned his child. Not a good father. That's wild. Queen and Dania Ellis said, hey there, how are you? So many Democrats are defending political violence. There is no coming together with those who are happy that people are dying because of their beliefs. Somebody said, chick, please, Malik Townsend. I'm not a chick. And please, what? You can get out of here. I don't have time for you. Go, ICE, go. He said, it's so sad what this world is going through. It is, Queenan. It is, y'all. So what they were here illegally, they got to go now. Okay. Here we go. What about Italians? What about the Italians, Malik? What are you saying? They wanted to use illegals as voters. Don't attack people doing their jobs. Who's attacking people? So she supports domestic terrorism. Good to know. This is not peaceful protest. Who is she supporting domestic terrorism, y'all? Nathan. Everything. So he's sensible then. Okay. He 100% has the power to do what he's doing. Says Tony. Wesley said grocery prices are still going up. We still paying for tariffs. Insurance rates up as well. But hell, we're kicking out illegals. Yay. Antifa caused this. Why are we acting like we can't see it? Trump is the only one who is being honest with the world. He isn't a career politician who just turns the screw on people. And anyone old enough will tell you it's SHIT right now because I decades of something. What's good? Kang Hazy in the building. No foul language. Thank you. And then illegals are illegals. What is the problem? How is that bit plain and simple? Common sense. The clue is in the name illegal. So it seems like I told you, it seems like people are very torn. He said, nah, man, Trump. Okay. So it seems like people are very torn. This country is definitely divided. He said, my apologies. He's the Antichrist. Oh my goodness, Dio Nero. This is interesting, y'all. This is so interesting. So what do you think in the chat section, how do you think we could all come together? Because it looks like a lot of you are in support of Trump, and then there are some that are not in support. So, what do you think could be a commonality that we could all agree upon? What do you think Trump should do in this scenario, y'all? Billionaires don't care about the left, right, or the middle. They have their own wicked agenda. So true, Sassy. So true. Matter of fact, we need to pin this comment. Hold on. We need to pin that comment for everyone to see, because I feel like all of us want to live a good, healthy, safe, decent, happy, carefree, and joyful life, and peaceful. The trees voting for the axe because its handle is made out of wood. They're so dumb they don't even realize they're the trees. He said, define antichrist. MAGA rules. If you say Charlie name 3 times in the dark, ooh, and in the mirror, he will debate you. Stop, Marlon. Bet you can't without Google. Okay. Trump said we're in our golden age? Question mark. Nah, bro, not even close. All right. You said opposite of Christ. Tyrannical governments make revolutionaries, but at the same time, revolutionaries make governments tyrannical. So I'm hearing that other nations have been overthrowing their governments. Bali, India, and in France, their leader had to step down. Have y'all heard about this? Act like a normal president, says Dio. Stop attacking Americans. Go, okay, take a 10-minute. Okay, somebody got put on timeout. There is no commonality with the evil of authoritarianism. We all want the best for our children and grandchildren. It was better before all this crap. Trump's bringing it back. Jobs, manufacturing, real jobs. Trump shouldn't send an army to control civilians. Prove Trump is Antichrist. The Bible is clear on what the Antichrist will be, so you should be able to see that. How are you doing, Cherise? Glad to see you in the building. What a natural beauty. Thank you, Adam James. Nepal overthrew their government. Wow. Stop the violence and stop condoning their violence. Billionaires are only players. They tell you to pick a side. Yes, they do. Yes, they do, Sassy, and then pit you against one another while they pick your pockets and smoke their cigars. Thank you for stating that. Very true. And that's the whole point that I want to bring up too, is because, even with religion, with church, with your beliefs, with whoever you support in your candidacy, I still see that there's divisiveness. And yeah, so while people are out here, if y'all ever read the Willie Lynch letter, you'll see that this is taking place right now with politics, y'all. America is going to hell and taking Americans and the world with them. Yeah. It says we're in the UK. It's crazy. Shout out to the UK, the Chronicle. Shout out to the UK. It's crazy. We're being invaded. The UE has opened up that part of the world, is diluting nations to undermine them. The entire world is a stage of evil. I want you to see it. You cannot unsee. Oh yeah, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This is true. He's not controlling anything. He's intervening. There's a difference. Nice to see a feminine female. Thank you, Adam. Trump is a criminal. Now they said he was convicted of 34 counts, you all. And because of that, he was not able to vote, but they said he could run for president, right? He's one of the Antichrists, not the only one. All right. He's lying about the economic statistics, but he's cracking down on crime. Okay, Zero. It sounds crazy that a one world government is, or should I say, a reality or conspiracy theory. It's all coming true. George Orwell warned us. I need to look up George Orwell. Let me see. Let me type that in. Thank you for bringing that up. George Orwell. Yeah, I think they do want to orchestrate a one world government. If you remember, the Rockefellers back from the 1800s stated that was the initiative and that was the agenda. And that was back over 100 years ago. Tinkerbell, get down. Yeah, over 100 years ago, they have been planning this one world government. Blessings from Rochester. We got Rochester in the building. Shout out to New York. Truth is, treason is an empire of lies. Now, is this some type of book, Sassy? Because do I need to look that up as well? Truth is treason in an empire of lies. Okay. The only one that can save you is Jesus. Get to know him before it's too late, says Billy. All right. Sally said, I'm not the one who decided to go after regular U.S. citizens, go back on my promises, start wars, misuse our taxpayer dollars. I don't want a narcissist for a president, no matter what party they are. And I do feel that both parties have done that to us. I believe they've used taxpayers' dollars for their own personal agendas. I do see where we, as the American people, American taxpayers, we pay the price for a lot of these things. And then we're used as collateral damage when they go make these political decisions without the consent of the American people, right? So even if you try to do a peaceful protest, I wonder is there going to be some use of force at this point, y'all? Ball those convictions, yet zero jail. Okay, there's a many anti there are many antichrists, but there's a difference between an antichrist and the antichrist from Revelations. You all need to grow up, says Emma. Why won't he release the e-files, Dio? I don't know why he won't release those e-files, but I noticed that he doesn't talk about them. I noticed that. And same thing with Hillary Clinton with those emails. Y'all remember those emails that magically came up missing? Get down. Okay. He's not blocking the files. Do your research. The files were blocked by a Clinton appointed justice. Okay. Nuremberg 2028. Y'all remember about the Nuremberg situation that took place? I remember I researched that. That happened in Germany, y'all. He said, don't be naive. Not Orwell, the Antichrist, and the beast system. Yes, this is definitely a beast system that we're living under. Call me today, Sheaf later. George Orwell. Okay, I put it in. I'm going to look him up. One world government wouldn't be bad if evil people didn't run it. That's very true. If they weren't evil, right? He said, I don't understand where the left out. You don't understand where the left outrage over e-files is coming from. Y'all had 4 years to release it too. I am foreseeing it, but really it would all be redacted. Probably so, Michelle. They probably would redact it. Probably so. Nuremberg 2028. You love cats, Adam? She's getting on my nerves, y'all. She does this every time I come on here. Billionaires are trying to create a new world order, yes, and a one world government to have total control over everything and everyone. This is very true, Sassy, very true. George Orwell, 1984. He's not going after U.S. citizens. CNN is your brain at this point, says Dallin. The purr just hits the soul. Yeah, I'm about to put her in the cage. Trump's speech at the UN was a disaster. Okay, Adam says 100%. We shouldn't be funding all these wars. I agree. Former President George Bush Sr. spoke about, hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm going to have to, now you're going to jump down. See, she knows she's going in that cage. You say he spoke about a new world order on TV. Hey, Ion, Trump. Okay. BB's, was worse. Everybody talking about that new speak. Adam, let me see, what are y'all saying? People's Political Party for All Minorities. Orwell was a hack. Dalton, Nuremberg. All mega members are welcome. Look up The Secret Covenant under John D. Rockefeller. Yes, Sassy, I read that. It's the billionaire's oath. There are 50 steps that they have been slowly implementing. Yes, they have. By what you eat, wear, drink, and breathe, a drop at a time. Yes, this is, man, Sassy, you're on it. Let me pin your comment. Sassy, if you have a channel, I'm going to follow you. Hold on, y'all. I got to put her in the cage. Just a second. Oh boy, yeah, I got my lint roller. Cat hair everywhere. It says here, on a dollar bill, New World Order in Latin for all minorities, way to be a 1960 segregation party. I highly recommend the book Milton Minor Poems from 1901. Let me put that in here. Milton Minor Poems, 1901. Okay. All right, thank you for that. We don't need government, says Desi. The problem with that is God said we're all sinners by nature. You've done evil. Who's done evil, Dallin? I refuse to dehumanize people who are different. I love people and I refuse to be a political puppet, and I don't want a civil war. That's exactly what Putin and the president of China wants us to do. I agree, Sally. Why you need Jesus? Why I need Jesus? That's the point. Okay. They are lyrics 1984 by Sadistic. Check out his music. Not true about him not blocking the files. They need to watch Fox Entertainment Television. Oh, they need to stop watching Fox Entertainment. Why? What you see this government doing to others will eventually be done to you. Sassy. All right. You said BB isn't really a true Jew. Even his wife was sitting there like, what the F? They tried to make Trump look bad at the UN, but he came out like a king. He's an imposter. We are the true Jews. The Supreme Court created this wickedness. Total control. They are trying to separate us from the rest of the world so we can be abused. Everyone has done evil. And you said Putin, peace, but Western agenda is to make Russia the enemy when the real enemies are in our government, says Adam. All right. Yeah, says you say that until the third world is tearing down your first world lifestyle. Hi, beautiful. I hope you're having a blessed day. Thank you, Carlos. Western media spreads lies about Russia to hide the real takeover of liberal left. A king doesn't get mad about an escalator. Did he get mad about an escalator? The government is supposed to work for the people and not the sassy man. I love your comments. That's why I keep pinning them. You are on it. I do agree, y'all. I do agree. So I'm just grateful and thankful that Dallin says the executive branch doesn't have the authority to block any judicial files. Only Supreme Court justices don't speak on things you don't know. It learned from research, not Fox. I watch no mainstream media. Oh yes, mainstream media is definitely fixed media run by the CIA. Basically, interjected to push a narrative and a political agenda. We know that. So we definitely have to use our discernment when we watch any type of news or any type of TV programming, but also do our own research. I definitely agree with that. Trump will save America, but who saves the world? Can't be all up to Trump. Y'all are very passionate. So you know what this passion tells me? This passion tells me that both sides cares about this country. Supreme Court is sold out to Trump. I also heard that Trump and what's that guy, Bibi Netanyahu, have a very interesting relationship too. And from what I heard, NATO is not in support of Trump supporting Israel. That's just what I've heard. I've been dug into this for over 25 years now. Nothing has ever changed and it never will. They have a death grip, only world, and they will not relinquish it. Wow, Billy. Rothschilds. Oh man, you brought up the Rothschilds because they are one of the 13 families, the Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and there are more of them. Rothschilds helped with the creation of Israel. It is filled with Khazarian mafia, not the real Jews from the Bible, says Tasman. Wow. Okay. William Johnson, God did not give a S about the United States of America. Neither the GOP or the Dems are great, but the GOP is trying to destroy us. I never said it was right. I am not right or left. I am politically homeless. I applaud Trump and boo him as I see fit, just like I did Biden and Obama. Dalton, I think we can definitely agree here. I was not in full support of Obama. And I definitely saw some flaws in him as well as definitely I told you I didn't agree with how Biden handled those borders. Let me guess, they were GAY on Epstein Island, says T. Brown. He was upset that the escalator worked for everyone else and the odds it wouldn't work for just one set of people were pretty bad and likely sabotage, nor was it the only thing not working. Oh gosh, no foul language, y'all, okay? The one name that needs to be banned from doing any business or funding and party is George Soros. Thank you, Carlos. History repeats itself. We need term and age limits and not lifelong seats in government like in the Supreme Courts. I agree with that. Because, over time, the country changes, time changes. And I was having this conversation yesterday with someone about people still holding the same seats, and they need to be taken out of there, y'all, because times have changed. Trump isn't saving anything. His policies are for us, believe it or not. He's destabilizing a corrupt system because of the stranglehold the rich have in the rest of us. It looks bad now, but just wait. Interesting perspective, Dallin. The Democrat problem is their inability to let go of the Zionists. And we need to limit how long these senators and representatives can sit because these older generation people are stuck in their one way that does not work anymore. I agree with that, Dallin. Very true. We the people was fine before the election got stolen, period. He said there are zombies and mummies running that palace. During Trump's first term, he didn't even shut down the borders to try to slow the spread down. And then he told people to drink bleach or some kind of hand sanitizer. And some people did and died. Sally, did they do that for real? Oh my goodness. Was it because of the COVID? After World War II, the real Nazis settled into Ukraine. Putin is destroying the real Nazis. Ukrainian army has Nazi symbols on their uniforms, says Tasman. Obama had issues because of the pressure from the GOP. The attack that man for tan suit. Okay. It says you should all stick to conspiracies more your speed, like flat earth or Bigfoot. Who are you talking to, Chris? Get involved with Convention of States. Get it passed in your state. We'll put in term limits. The Republican Party is no more. You now have the Loyalist Party in that stained frat house. Trump said out his mouth that his supporters were dumb. Did he really say that? Trump has been appointed by God to save America from the Democrats. George Soros and his money should be banned from the United States. Fauci and Bill Gates belong in prison and should be indicted. You know, Fauci and Bill Gates definitely should be put in prison and indicted for what they've done. Yes, indeed. That was for real, just because Trump said to. Are you really that stupid? Someone said. I don't know who you're talking to. He never said drink bleach. No, he didn't. LOL, that's false. What's your source? He did not say bleach. What he said to use worked. Okay. Obama effed up the Democrats. They bowed down to Jews because of him, says Johal. Woo, leave Bigfoot out of this. LOL. Yep, says Sherry. Yes, because Trump said smart people don't like him. There are Nazis everywhere. That doesn't mean the whole group are Nazis. The real Nazis are within our U.S. government, says Billy Benson. And no, he didn't, LOL. He was mocking Democrats when he said that, watch the full video, not YouTube clips. You're doing yourself a disservice by doing that. YouTube scholars are wild. Trump also told people about the dangers of taking too much Tylenol. I heard him talk about that Tylenol for autism. He thinks it causes autism. Crazy lefts are overdosing and dying. TDS is a real mental illness. So I'm wondering, is there some type of ingredient in the Tylenol that can, exacerbate the symptoms or have an onset of autism? Because I have my beliefs about autism as well. No foul language, please. Ukraine is a proxy for the corrupt West to fight Russia because knows cannot front Russia or cause World War III. Ukraine is a puppet state. That's the issue. Again, truth is being hidden. Tylenol is bad to take too much, but it hasn't anything to do with autism. It was a Harvard medical study, not a Trump study. You silly leftist, says Nathan. We have known for years Tylenol causes liver damage. Okay, I think all prescription drugs has side effects and can cause some type of harm or damage. This is why I believe in herbalistic things, such as things that we get from earth, fruit, spices. There are a lot of, just natural things that we can do to cure our bodies, natural remedies out here. I have a client that I was talking to earlier. She texted me and she was telling me about some things that she was going through. And I actually referred her over to this herbalist that I know that makes natural teas. And she said, since she's been taking it, she's noticed, a change in her body. She's been feeling slightly better. So I was glad to hear that, y'all. Glad to hear that. Um, Tylenol almost killed my mother, kills the liver. I couldn't take Tylenol when I was pregnant in 1998, says Esther. Duh, autism has been around forever, says Dio. Russia invaded Ukraine, so how are they a puppet for the West? Before Tylenol. Don't be so quick to point your finger. You don't realize when you do three are pointing back at you, says Sassy. The scientist was paid $150,000 to testify against Tylenol. Interesting. We need more dialogue. Yes, we do, Dallin. We need more dialogue like this. I love it. Love you all in Christ. Proud of you all, regardless of viewing, for being respectful. I'm out. Got to get my Sabbath on. God bless you all. Shout out to you, Dallin. And I just want to let you know the Sabbath is actually on Saturday. Do your research, okay? But the Sabbath is on Saturday. So happy to see so many people are awake and not woke. People love to forget the facts when it does not line up with their ideology. Why is there mercury in the in the V word? Exactly. I also think that has something to do with autism as well. You said 100% we need this mind pool. We do. And I want to just say, all the people, thank y'all for being respectful in the chat. Thank you for posting your comments and acknowledging one another and helping to educate, and giving your sources, so that we all can do our research into what's going on. Because actually, I don't think we want to be under a tyrannical government, a tyrant. I don't think we all want to have war, civil unrest. I don't think we want to be in World War III. I don't think we want troops invading our cities. Only if it's for the protection of us. I don't think we want to actually be going against this, y'all. Who did the hell about Donald Trump? He is a KKK. Black people need to wake up, says William Johnson. Too much Tylenol can kill people, but so can too much salt. 24 vaxes by 2 years old. No way I would do that to my children. Debbie, I'm in agreement with you. Autism rate used to be 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 36. It's an epidemic. Tasman, let me talk to y'all really quickly about autism, because like I told you, I work with children. And the other day I was working with autistic children. And I'm really trying to understand, because it's like an influx of them in the schools now. And I'm trying to understand where are all these autistic children coming from? What is causing it? And it's a lot of them. It's just one girl, she had this thing where she had to take her shoes and socks off in class, and she would only walk on her tippy toes, and she didn't like to get out of her chair. So the teacher had to pick her up. And then when she sat in her chair, she would have to prop her feet up, and she would just sit there and smile. She was the cutest little thing, little Indian. I think she was like from the Middle East somewhere. But she was the cutest little thing. And I'm like, oh, look at her. Then there's another girl, like, they just have these different traits about them. But autistic children are very intelligent. It's just that they process information differently. I've worked with autistic children last year as well. They're very different. And I don't think that having them to sit down all day is the best way to deal with them, because they like to move around. And I've seen some teachers restraining children, which really that's really in violation of, you're not supposed to do that. It was just kind of interesting, some of the things I've seen, y'all, and witnessed. But I really think some of these V words, these injections, y'all know what I'm talking about. We need to really pay attention to what's being injected into these infants, into these toddlers, into these children. You all do your own research. Also, look at the food that your child is eating, because I did some research on red dye that's put into the food sources. And anything that has like that red dye to it, like Kool-Aid, which I don't think people really drink Kool-Aid anymore. Hawaiian Punch, people don't really drink these things anymore, but like a lot of those juices contain red dyes, which can cause behavior issues in children. As well as, I feel like, being introduced to video games at a very early age. There were studies done on their brains, and it can be kind of damaging to introduce them too early to video games. I think even they said children have known to have seizures with the VR goggles. So I would definitely limit their use to some of that stuff. But let's keep going because I've seen where these children now they can barely focus. And I remember when I was in school, but I think females and males are a little different because males have a higher level of testosterone. The nature of males, they're meant to investigate, to move around, to do these things because they're males. But a lot of times children cannot sit still, they can't focus, they can't concentrate. It's really starting to be where teachers are now dealing with more behavior issues than being able to teach the children. They're not grasping information. And I have an issue with the fact that now everything is so digitalized. So now everything is on a computer, the laptops, they have iPads in all the classrooms. They don't have chalkboards anymore. So now it's the Promethean board, which is like a big digital TV that hangs on the classroom wall. And nothing wrong with that because it makes it interactive. We watch videos, but I also feel like children need to work on penmanship because there's something about the brain that puts information together and to actually grasp and hold on to the information when you write it down. I remember I used to take notes in class. These children don't take notes. When we're going over math, they barely can understand the concept of adding and subtracting. Y'all, this was second grade the other day, and they are overcomplicating it because of Common Core practices. When I remember we went to school, it was very simple, very simplistic, and now they're overcomplicating it, teaching them all these different strategies, and now the children are getting confused on just simple addition and subtraction. It's really sad to see. So I just wanted to talk and touch on that. So I definitely try to help out. I tutored last year, and I also gave them different ways, different strategies at their math, so just to make it less complicated for them. Because some of these things that they're teaching the children, I'm just flabbergasted at why this is even the curriculum. Let's keep going, y'all. You said the award-winning medicine was called horse pace by the MSM to increase the use of the clot shot to purposely inflate the kill count. It's not about healthcare, it's about disease care. The new covenant says any day can be the Sabbath. I follow Christ, he fulfilled the law. Okay, Dallin. Republicans get upset about raising the debt ceiling, but allowed Trump to raise it way too high compared to any other president. Trump spends our taxpayers' money on golf, parades, and a gold ballroom. Now, he definitely was very engulfed in that ballroom, right, when they asked him about Charlie Kirk, but appreciate it either way. Yes, Dallin. Okay. Why is it that MAGA don't have verifiable facts, says Dio Nero. According to Genesis, first chapter, the Sabbath when the sun set on Friday, says Antonio. So everybody has a different interpretation of these things. And I appreciate the fact that you all can give your rhetoric here and everybody's being respectful. Just a couple asphalt sandwiches, says Bobby Eugene. There was autistic people way before Tylenol was invented, says Sally. Before people knew it, autism rates were zero. Okay, whenever I bring facts to Mega, they pivot. They were there before we just used to call them slurs. I bet your husband is a white man, says William Johnson. Who are you talking to? Toxic chemicals in food, water, and medication. That's definitely going on, Debbie. Definitely. Yes, it's everywhere, says Lonesome Dove. Yes, it is. The Republican Party was started by Abraham Lincoln to abolish slavery. The Democrats were the ones in the KKK lynching people. Know your history. So this is a fact that melanated people they started off as being Republicans first. And then because they were misrepresented or lied to and deceived and tricked, they pivoted over to being largely Democratic. That's what happened. Also, the whole we're going to stop autism is just eugenics. Autistic children see how the world truly is. I have ADHD, autoimmune disease, and environmental allergies, which cause a genetic splicing. My son is autistic, says Sally. You do not, Sally, somebody said. To comment on the autism being around forever. Autism has only come out in the last 40 years. We are poisoned, sprayed, and fed toxins on a daily basis. Vaccines or injections, shall I say. Injections cause the A word. It's a fact. D. Strock. I do believe that there are correlations between injections and autism. And I'm going to tell you why. My sister was telling me about one of the women that she knew that had a son or a couple of sons. He was perfectly, you know, one way. After he got the injection, he became, autistic. So there are something going on with some of these injections that causes this as well. Dreaming Merc, exactly, pre-World War II style. That's where that German got his idea from, was from American euthanasia. Red dye 40, that's what it is, Dalton, is sourced from crude oil. So that's what they're putting into these drinks. And if you notice, a lot of times the label said not 100% juice, it'll say 17% juice. And I'm like, so if it's all liquid and only 17% juice, then what is the rest of it, right? So, y'all, it's just a bunch of poison that is going on out here. Nutrition has a lot to do with it, says Debbie. Sally, I believe you, me too. It's the chemicals in the food. Everything in your home is GMO. The injections been around for decades. It's not the effing injections. I don't trust the injections because over the course of time, TK, they are doing more experiments and they are coming up with more different injections for different alleged viruses that they have been manufactured in a lab. So they get more creative with these injections. Okay. So we can agree to disagree, but we don't have to get upset about it. It's all good. I wonder which political party allowed corporations go crazy for profits with our food. It's the lobbyist interactive improv. When they lobby and they get this stuff passed through Congress. So the what is it called? The American Food Drug Administration or whatever that is. They make it so that these things can pass, even though we know that they're putting poisonous things in our food supply. And it's very unfortunate that that's going on here in America. We pretending it's one party. ADHD and autism have a lot of similarities, and so do these genes. I did everything right for my pregnancy, and I didn't take Tylenol when I gave birth to my autistic son. Okay. The presidential touch is so something good for us or not. When they say deregulation of the market, what do you think it means? Me too. I believe you. I have it as well. Like I said before, they are poisoning us a drop at a time. Yes, they are. Chat, you guys are awake. I love y'all's thinking. Light bulbs are in the building. Causes no harm. It is in use. Ivermectin. Okay. I actually look at the data and studies on the CDC website because I am a huge dork. No, you're not, Sally. It's good to research. There's nothing wrong with that. I wanted to find out what they had to say about what causes autism, and they have known for years. They changed the calendar so we don't really know what day it is. They did, Debbie. We are not in the times that they tell us that we're in. And I also, if you want my personal opinion, I think that there's a such thing as time travel. And I also think that they alter our time and alter our reality by altering time. You said you're 60 years old. When I got my injection, I got 7 different drugs. Now injections have up to 196 different drugs. We don't know how these drugs interact with the human body. Very true. I did some research on some of these things, and y'all will be surprised. Human DNA, even rat DNA, goes into some of these injections that they're giving to these children and these babies, y'all. Sabbath is by the moon. 13 months, not 12. I heard about that, Debbie. Democrats do not understand economics, but force this idea of equality when they are outed for any type of wrongdoing, says Realer and Real. He paid for all the ballroom from his own money as a gift to the country, says Kathleen. The ballroom is being built with Trump's own money and private donations. No tax money is going towards the creation of the ballroom. He did not. They would actually be a crime. That would actually be a crime. You can't gift a government official. Parties did not change. That's false. I'm sorry someone said that nasty thing about your husband. If you have one, said Dio Nero. I'm not worried about ignorant comments, Dio. Strom Thurmond literally switched parties. No, the test just came out. DJ Strzok. Somebody said, it's very interesting that there is no autism in the Amish community at all. Any guess as to why? I'll make one. They can't get the injections for anything at any age. Coincidence? I don't think so. That's a very interesting take on that presidential touch. I don't believe they have found an unvaxxed autistic person. Not one, says Eddie. Water, it's mostly water. There's been women ODing on Tylenol for owning Trump and in liver failure. I didn't take any medicine while I was pregnant with my highly functional autistic. I breastfed and used natural products. My son was autistic at birth before the injection, says Sally. I had a severe reaction to a flu poke in 1990 that lasted past 2 years. Y'all, I don't know if y'all heard about the HPV vaccine that they're giving to little children. And I don't agree with it, but they're also opening this vaccine up to young males as well. And this was many years ago. They gave it to this one girl, and they said after she got the injection, she started walking backwards. It was really causing a lot of symptoms in these young girls and these young children. Some of them were teenagers that got that injection as well. And the HPV injection is fairly new. Your body usually will fight off a lot of things on its own, and a lot of these injections only attack one strand of the virus. Sometimes certain strands. It doesn't attack all strands. No, Saturday is the true Sabbath, says D. Strat. The fourth commandment is remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. Yes, they have. Your minds are so fire. I agree. Soap detergent has toxic chemicals. Yes, soap detergent, dish detergent, everything pretty much. Even our shampoo, y'all. Everything. mRNA is much more harmful than traditional. Yes, Scott. Yes, mRNA, because it alters your DNA, is more harmful than traditional injections. None are completely safe, but the new technology is far worse. Yes, because y'all research nanobots. I can't talk about it too much on the channel. I'm just going to leave that alone because I don't even want to get into that. But yes, definitely mRNA. Yes. You know better, Swan. It says, when did we first see polio? It was after the inoculation were given to soldiers in the wars in the early 1900s. America is poisoning us with the food. It's not just injections, but I think injections are better than not. It's all but S. I'm 80 and never got injected except the service. Jerry, shout out to you. We got an 80-year-old in the building. Okay. Never got an injection. Okay. Sally Ward, how would they tell he was autistic at birth? That's true. How did they know that he was like that at birth? I'm curious to know. I've watched videos of women taking unnecessary amounts of Tylenol. You're telling me to ignore my own eyes? Sally Ward, I am not mad. I'm just trying to educate and implore people to do research from the right sources. You watch content, Swan. Do you think Superman is a real person? Don't forget about the fluoride and the yes, Scott. I remember when I was in school, they used to actually bring in the fluoride. It was like certain days of the week or times throughout the month. We had to swish for dental hygiene. I don't know if they still do that in the classrooms, but they used to do that when we were younger. Fluoride is definitely in that water, y'all. Democrats are so you can also get filters. I have a shower filter. I need to get some more for the rest of the house, but shower filters definitely can help. But all water is contaminated with something, whether it's lead. One of my colleagues, he's also a realtor, and he used to work at a water treatment plant. And all the realtors, when we had to go in for our CE credits, all the realtors were interested in water because like when houses have wells, they say that you have to actually get an inspection on the septic and well because you want to make sure there are no contaminants going on there. And everybody was more fascinated with hearing about water and what's the best water, which water should we be drinking, because he had a wife that was diagnosed with cancer, and luckily she overcame and she's healed. And I was asking him, I said, well, what was her diet like? So I think that was an amazing story. He said Democrats are so delusional that because a Republican identifying figure says Tylenol has been found to be linked with autism, they'll pick up a dumb position like autism existed before Tylenol. Yes, we need to get the fluoride out of the water, says Debbie. CERN ruined our reality. Dalton, you are so awake. Yes. Yes. Let me put that in the thing. I need to look up CERN because my friend and I, we were talking about that as well. CERN. I might do a video about that. To avoid antidotes, yes, sometimes you literally have to avoid what your eyes are actually seeing because you're seeing a non-representative antidote. So I did hear that our minds and our eyes play trick on us. Our brain does not separate fact from reality. I'm sorry, fiction from reality. Our brain, they say it doesn't know the difference between fiction and fact, and sometimes our eyes do deceive us. That's very true. Very true. Interactive improv. Stop drugs, then stop the jaw swinging and gurning. Polio was first identified as a district disease in 1840 by German physician Jacob Heine. The virus that causes polio was discovered in 1908, not events before World War One. People who have ADHD and autism carry those genes. Plus, my son already had a weird stare before he had any injection. Okay, Sally. So you can look in their eyes because they look like you can see that they're there, but they are somewhere else. That's the best way I can describe it. When you look into their eyes, they're there, but they're somewhere else. So that stare, Sally, I can understand what you're saying. You said they're poisoning us. Then you find out Denmark was sterilizing females starting at age 12 without their knowledge. A lot is done in the dark. What? Not just here. Nothing but lies. Thank you for what you're doing, brown girl. You're welcome. Just the facts. Both of these are more than genetics. There are studies on twins born where one has autism, and the other does not. It's not purely genetic. Okay, so it's a mixture. I think it's partly genetic, and I think some of it is also what they're putting in the food, what they're putting in the injections. You said Black people started voting Democrat in 1936 when Eleanor Roosevelt campaigned heavily for her husband in Black neighborhoods. Okay, because I can. That explains it. It was the Civil Rights Amendment and LBJ, because I can exactly. His campaign was to win by any means. 2-day-old getting injections is horrible, says Debbie. Also, C. Lee Atwater and the change of parties as part of the Southern strategy. You gave birth to an autistic son because of the injections and toxins in your own system, dear. I'm so sorry that happened to you. God bless you and your child. Blessings to you and your child, by the way, Debbie. Yeah, I hear Tinkerbell in the background. She wants to get out her cage. Yeah, the parties never switch. That's why all these good old boys who fly Confederate flags in their big diesel trucks, those are liberal Democrats. You have fallen into a tidal wave of misinformation. Shame, a Black woman has been indoctrinated into a world that hates your existence, says Kelvin Jackson. I don't know who you're talking about. I've fallen into a tidal wave of misinformation, shame of Black. I don't consider myself Black. So let's start there. I don't identify with that terminology, but I know you're probably new to the channel. You said I've been indoctrinated. My mind is actually free. So I don't know. But yeah, there is a world that does hate my existence, but there are people that love my existence as well, Kelvin. All right. Democrats have never changed. Sally Ward, babies at birth can't open their eyes. Who told you ADHD and autism were genetic? Let me guess. So okay, the same ones who pushed the clot shot to begin with. Let's not attack one another, okay? Most people who have HPV, and it is an STD that causes cancer and genital warts. This is true, Sally. The air, the water, everything. Yes, these chemtrails that they actually fly overhead and they attack certain neighborhoods with it. And this was done years and years ago. mRNA is a genetic manipulation. Yes, it is, Dalton. DJ Strzok, you are correct, I believe. I taught truth to my own doctor and called him out on anything. He just gave me a weird, evil grin and said nothing. Now I do not trust him at all. Billy Benson, I agree so much with you. And I need to pin your comment. So I want to implore everybody in the chat section, if you do get like a medical diagnosis from your doctor and they're telling you there's only one form of treatment and they're highly pushing surgery or something on you that you might not feel comfortable with, please feel free to do your own research. Go get second opinions, seek out other doctors. holistic doctors if you can, because our bodies are designed to innately heal themselves. The divine creator made us so that we can actually fight off a lot of things. But, there have been a lot of things manufactured in labs to cause sickness as well. You said the moral is they don't want us thinking for ourselves. That's true. They want to thin the population. Very true. Keep us all sick, all for money and power. Yep. Thanks for yourselves. Research your health. That's right. Don't forget all the toxic cleaning chemicals. Yes, your small child crawls on the floor absorbing these chemicals. We absorb these chemicals through our skin. Vinegar and water work great as a cleaner. That's true as well. Your doctor was the winner in that event. Read your toothpaste says do not ingest. Very true. What is parts per million, Tasman? Parts per million. That's basically when you you dilute something with water. They did the fluoride swish when I was in school. Yeah, so you know about it. Seriously, you know about the fluoride. Okay. 99% of polio cases were at asymptomatic. Parts per million is allowable tolerance. Fluoride enters the body-brain barrier and destroys the pineal gland in the brain. Wow. It does not, Scott. Yes, it does. Parts per million is a way to express a very small unit of concentration, indicating the number of units of a substance for every million units of a total. Okay, so y'all are going back and forth in the comment. Okay, I watch my water boiling on the stove. It actually acts totally different these days. Agree to disagree. That's right, y'all. Americans don't know their own history. You are taught what they want you to believe. True. History has been whitewashed for so long now. We already know that, Sassy. It's very foamy. Yes, it is. That's all. That's that chloride, probably. All that stuff that's in that water. Please explain the specific differences between pits of boiling water. The Democrats is not destroying America. The Republicans are destroying everything. Scott Petrie speaking truth about fluoride. It calcifies the pineal gland. Dream on, dreamer. Autism been documented since the 1700s. Video Googles very bad. Your brain doesn't. Oh, video goggles are very bad. Your brain doesn't know difference between reality and non-reality. When you boil water, you increase concentration of heavy metal. That's all that dirty stuff left in your pot after boiling. Okay. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. They've known it since World War II. Nazis put fluoride in the water in concentration camps to keep prisoners compliant. I had a doctor call the cops. What? Hold up. I had a doctor call the cops on me at the hospital for not allowing my wife to be CVID tested. So you didn't want your wife to take the CVID test. The cop knew what she was trying was illegal and told to charge the nurse. She chased the doctor out of the ER. Y'all, this is insanity. That is insanity. And the threats. The most you could argue is the burn off from the pot you're using. So change pots, and that doesn't happen. Bill Gates sterilized a lot of Africa with his injections. Yes, he did, Joshua. He sure did. That's why I said Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci need to be basically going to jail for what they've done to people. But when you boil water, it is disinfectant, but toxins increase. Depends on what you mean. Okay, y'all talking about water. And you're talking about Tylenol has their own study that warns against taking the product if you're pregnant. Okay. I love the discourse taking place. Me too here, Dalton. Great channel. Thanks to the moderators. My wife thinks you are absolutely beautiful, by the way. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you to you and your wife, Dalton. As a reminder, autism as a diagnosis predates the invention of Tylenol. Billy Benson said, it all starts in the womb, but it's given a booster at birth. The secret shot that babies are received behind secret doors. So Billy Benson, they also, when my sister was pregnant with my nephew, they wanted her to take a pneumonia injection as well. So that baby is still getting injections if the mother gets it too. You said you don't go to doctors, Joshua? Yeah, I can understand why you feel that way. There is definitely I guess what is it? When you're not fearful about doctors, but there's some distrust amongst the hospital system. Not attacking anyone, just speaking truth, which these days amounts to an attack, I guess. Look, partisan hacks. These issues should not be political. The divide is planned out and what they want. Divide and conquer is a strategy of the ruling class throughout known history. So true, Petri. Let me post that comment. Dreaming, autism used to be very rare. Doctors are witches. Learn from history, and doctors never heal anyone. They give you the treatment, but not the cure, right? I just found your channel 30 minutes ago. I subscribe, stay awake, and keep spreading the truth. Thank you, Tasman. Nice to see you here. Bill Gates started the chest rails, by the way. The chest rails. What's that, Dalton? You just used to call autistic people slurs and lock them up? Hey, Fox Galaxy. Nice to see you in the building. Support your local farmers because store produce is covered with toxins. It's not safe, like they say. The more you eat, the sicker you get and builds in your body and can't eliminate it. How are you? I'm doing well. I have to get off here in a little while because I got stuff to do. Sally says I didn't have toxins in my body when I had a healthy pregnancy with an autistic son. Autism can be hereditary as well, so that's why one twin may not get autism. Sodium fluoride as a concentrate is more toxic than mercury. We are all supposed to be farmers. Yes, we are. Till the soil, grow your own food. Yes, you are what you eat. So now with all this GMO in our foods, we're eating poison. Yes. Did you know that the gas they sprayed all over the children was causing the polio outbreak? Please do your research. People have been lied to for decades. I'm trying to get through these comments. I'm sorry, y'all. You have no clue what you're talking about. Stop watching the fake news, says Brian Warner. I don't know who you're talking to, Brian. Are we doing Facebook science here, says Video. I don't know who you're talking to either. When is it ever going to be what the people say, says Batista. Worse, this is City Science. I'm taking no injections. I don't blame you, Joshua. Democrats are responsible for KKK, Jim Crow, bombing Black Wall Street, voting against the Civil Rights Act, creating ghettos and a welfare system that took fathers out of the home. They want to create sickness, division, mental illness, and a godless people. Yes, they do. Without God, they believe we would be dependent upon the government for safety and protection versus turning to God as we should. I don't depend on any man, any political figure, any political candidate. I have a connection with my divine creator, spirits, angels, ancestors, and that's what I'm going to depend upon because those are the ones that provide, protect, and do for me. That's how I feel. Environmental allergies can cause genetic splicing, and I have a rare allergy to metal, and autistic people have high levels of metal, mercury in their system. Allergies can cause mutations. Biden pardoned Fauci. Wonder why. What? He shouldn't have been. Putting Planned Parenthood clinics in the Black communities to keep the Black population low. How many injections is a baby given within 3 years after they are born? Black are indigenous to the land, says Tremaine. The government sprayed DDT all over children, which caused polio, then told the public there was a polio outbreak. Lied to for decades. Let me tell you, Black people, something, that fear is real, especially in those rural areas of America. If I was an ill person, I would go to the city. One of those hospitals does rural areas bad. Ronald Davis, I'm not sure what you're trying to say here. The pineal gland is also your internal alarm clock. It is the only part of the body with crystalline structure. The fact that it calcifies your pineal indicates they want our bodies to malfunction. Chemtrails, yes. They need to let the Amish run the FDA and CDC. They don't want to. I just woke up and I'm not feeling too good. I hope you feel better. We need to believe only what God thinks of us, not what everyone else does. God bless you. Definitely. Yeah, I just subbed too. God bless you for doing what you can to raise awareness and help. You are very brave. Thank you. That's in the Bible by white people. Mark, no foul language. Our medicine has always been in the food, not pills. Yes, definitely. Our political parties of government. Yeah, I'm itching. My nose is itching. I don't know why. Push the like to help get the video out to more people. Allergies are fake, says Josh. Tremaine, the Bible is from the Middle East and Africa. You're depending on that anyway. Which God? No gods are doing anything for anyone. They consistently watch babies die innocent deaths. We have been guinea pigs for a long time now. I agree. Republican and Democrats do rituals. They both do rituals. So do these celebrities and the people in the industry in Hollywood. People over politics. I agree. Thank you, Batista Rivers. The 13 families want to keep us all sick, stupid, and fighting amongst themselves so they can control us like sheep and steal our money. So true. Y'all are both right, but Middle East is North Africa. Middle Eastern terminology was introduced during World War II. Pineal gland is your third eye. You would need to use genetic therapy for diseases. If you get the Delta 32 gene by way of transfusion, then you can't get infected by HIV AIDS, or you can turn off the BRCA gene to prevent cancer. Actually, the Catholic Church learned about the indigenous people and used what our ancient ancestors have done. All right, Tremaine, we are ancient blood. Hi, how you doing, June? Okay, y'all, I got through all your comments. I am going to sign off. I thank you all for the support. Thank you all for having a dialogue and a discourse, keeping it respectful. And I thank you to the moderators. Thank you so much, Lonesome Dove. Thank you for the regulars that showed up here. Bohemian Grove, I know all about it, Roma Rose. I know all about that Bohemian Grove. Yes, indeed. All right, so I need to do some research and we'll come on later and we'll talk about some things. I'm going to sign out. Haben Sie alles einen guten Tag. You have all a good rest of your day, okay? You're the best friend. Heck yeah. Okay, y'all. Signing out. Remember to always, always, always walk in your divinity. Like I said, some of the most beautiful souls, some of the most beautiful spirits fight the ugliest wars, y'all. And right now, we have beautiful spirits out here fighting these battles. All right, I'm going to sign out. You all take care and stay blessed. Y'all are still typing. The truest people on the planet. All right, y'all. Thank you, Roma Rose. Thank you, y'all. The truest people on the planet are Sentinelese. They're still a tribe and want nothing to do with the outside world. They still live on their island and live like God wanted to live. The root of pharma and language is drug, sorcery, and poison. Okay, y'all. Yes, we got to go. Bill Gates did, and it caused a lot of children to severely deform when they were born. Yes, that's why he was over in Africa. All right, y'all. I'm signing out. You all stay blessed, okay? We are going to end it here.